Like we were right. It's hit the fan. So let's dive in and talk about it. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. It is Thursday, aka Friday Eve. It is hit the fan, and I've got some articles in the news that are going to remind you why you have food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. And if you don't have food, water, shelter, clothing, means of self-defense, and medicine, you're going to want to have. Because it's that fucking bad out there. Now, in the House of Representatives up in Washington, D.C., they have decided they're going to threaten Fannie Fat-Ass Willis with contempt. Stop threatening it. Stop it. Just do it. Arrest the bitch. She literally arrested President Trump. He had to turn himself in. He had to take mug shots. He was extorted. His lawyers were threatened and extorted, etc., etc., etc. Fat-ass Fannie needs a taste of her own medicine. Stop being polite, folks. Let me ask you a question. Politeness. What does it get you in church? Oh, in church, hey. You want my seat? Go ahead and have my uncomfortable, flat, hard wooden seat called a pew. Let's see. Politeness at the store. Hey, go ahead. Your shopping cart's more full than mine, right? You've got kids. Off you, right? It works. Politeness works. When you're dealing with Democrats, does politeness work? Not a fucking chance. A Karen gets in your face. You're like, hey, calm down. No one's going to die from this cold unless they're already going to die because they're sick. And they just start fucking yelling and screaming at you. You're like, hey, it's cool. You're going to be fine. All politeness does is allow them to continue to get in your face, get in your face, get in your face, in your ear. They need to be yelled at, top of your lungs. Scream in their face. Democrats, scream in their face, folks. Don't commit acts of violence. Call them every dirty name in the book because they've earned it. They have earned it. The war is here, folks. The war is amongst us. There's just not bullets being fired yet. But the war is here. Stop being nice. Stop being nice. It is not, being nice is what we have done for the last 50 fucking years. 60 years. 70 years of putting up with Democrats, and it has done us no fucking good. It hasn't stopped them, hasn't convinced them to be anything other than what they are, which is a bunch of anti-American sellouts. Don't be fucking nice to them. The Vice President of the United States, Camel Toes, Dirty Knees Harris, who worked under the desk of Mayor Willie Brown. She says that if Trump is reelected, he is going to weaponize the Department of Justice against his enemies. What a laughable fucking shit-hitting the fan statement. Just unbelievable. Democrats, especially Joe Biden, Merrick Garland, the Department of Justice, the Attorney General's office, they have weaponized the entire system against Trump, against Republicans, against people like you and me, against the January 6th protesters. By the way, they are now pulling on the footage. They're pulling FBI agents out and naming them, getting them from different angles, getting their faces and naming them. There were agents, provocateur, FBI agents amongst the patriots who were being assholes, who were fomenting and calling for violence. Folks, it was the FBI, the FBI. Stop being nice to these people. There's no way to win by being nice. You don't step onto the field of battle, World War II, and say, hey, Nazis, what you've done is wrong. You should be ashamed of yourselves. Now lay down your guns and come with me. We're going to lock you up. No. The way you defeat the Nazis is you kill the Nazis. The way you defeat the Russians is you kill the Russians. The way you defeat the Japanese is kill the Japanese. I'm talking about World War II, by the way, not current times. The way you win is by killing the enemy, not being nice. Right? That whole turn, if your brother slaps you, turn him the other cheek. Let me remind you, there aren't many people out there that I call my brother. You slap me in the face, you're not my brother, because my brother won't slap me in the face. It's not that kind of a world. You slap me in the face, you're going to get punched in the fucking nose, or worse. Stop being nice. Period. Period. And speaking of World War II countries, like Germany and Russia and France, we got a little bit of a French, Russo-French connection. Get this. We live in a state of lies, whether it's the FB lies or whether it's the Biden lies or Karine Jean-Pierre lying through her little curly Q French fry bullshit haircut. Folks, the French government has leaked military documents. They've been leaked. It's out there. These French military documents, guess what they do? They admit that it is an impossibility for Ukraine, Zelensky, the Azov battalion. It's impossible for them to win the war. And this is what the French military say of their people. The French officers, the French leadership, this is what they say of their own military. Quote, facing the Russians, France is an army of cheerleaders. Now, maybe I'm missing something in translation here. But when you call your own troops cheerleaders, are they saying that the French are going to cheer on the Russians? Probably not. So it must be the more pejorative term, as in compared to Russian hard-ass, war-hardened military, the French are about as tough as cheerleaders. That is going to be my interpretation of the statement made by the French. They know, folks. The French know that Russia would grind their bones to make their bread. But still, the leadership of France, Macron, he wants to send his military to Ukraine and face the Russians, and he wants the rest of Europe to do the same. Do you, for one fucking second, think that Europe, this Euro trash bullshit, do you think they have the balls to face Russia? Do you think Washington, D.C. has the balls to face Putin and Russia? No, they don't. They're fucking cowards. They're fucking cowards in Washington, D.C. They go after Christians, old men and women. They go after children. They go after the weak. And they arrest them and charge them with bullshit crimes. Fucking FBI. What a bunch of candy asses. Why don't they go after some real groups like Antifa or BLM? Why don't they go after those tough guys? Because they're actually on the same side. Have you prepared yourselves, folks? Have you prepared yourselves? Now, for months and months and years under the Biden administration, Texas has been taking a hard shot to the nutsack, constantly being hit with bullshit and illegals. That is, illegal aliens coming across the border, flooding into Texas, costing Texas billions of dollars to help pay for the damage and loss that comes from these people. Well, it looks like Florida, folks, that's right, Florida is now about to face a very similar problem. A very similar problem. Let's start, folks. And oh, by the way, it's Thursday. Get your questions down below for Mr. Uman. He will organize them, put them in some kind of approach order, and we'll discuss what you want to talk about. I'm going to do my monologue, and then we're going to move on to you. So let's do this. Let's get Florida onto the witness stand. In Palm Beach County, folks, the sheriff, not some city policeman, the sheriff, the highest law enforcement office in the county. The sheriff loudly, and the sheriff of Palm Beach strongly, shit all over Biden, the Department of Homeland Security, and the entire United States, Washington, D.C. government. After the sheriff's department arrested 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 illegal immigrants. For what crime? Kidnapping and assault. Well, how perfect is that, right? Aren't we supposed to love these people? So this sheriff, he just let him have it. His comments followed the arrest of these illegal immigrants from Guatemala. Now, it wasn't just assault. Did I say assault? Did I say kidnapping and assault? I meant kidnapping and sexual assault. That's rape. Guatemalans kidnapping and raping in Florida. Well, Biden wouldn't call them criminals, folks. No fucking way. Illegals. Yeah, they're criminals. Criminals, illegals, criminals. Nice how that works. Biden wouldn't call them criminals. Fuck no, no way. You want to know why? Let me tell you why. Here's an indictment of every Democrat scumbag in the whole fucking country. The reason they don't want to call these illegals criminals is because they are criminals. Biden wouldn't call these rapists criminals because Biden is a rapist. Tara Reade. Bill Clinton is a rapist. Juanita Broderick. Paula Jones. These people are scum and they're rapists. And they're in charge of government, folks. Biden wouldn't call these Guatemalans. No, he won't call them criminals. Nope, no way. But it's getting worse, folks. I covered this a little bit yesterday. Governor DeSantis of Florida has now mobilized the state guard because they're expecting an incredible wave of Haitian illegals who are trying to invade our country. They're concerned mostly to start with Florida Keys, which are a series of islands off the southern tip, as well as the southeast coast, which includes Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and the entire, how do we put this? The entire coastal strip. Because Joe Biden, Washington, D.C., said they're going to escort Haitian ships full of invaders up to Florida. Now, they're claiming that these are refugees of war. No, they're people fleeing their country because people like George Soros, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, through their super secret bullshit NGO organizations, non-governmental organizations that they fund, they'll send ships to Haiti and start loading people up to get them up here. The same exact fucking way they transported illegals across the Mediterranean and into Italy and into France and into Spain. And they just go back and forth like a ferry system, dumping thousands and hundreds of thousands of illegals all over white, black, tanned, untanned Europe. Because it's not about being black or white. It's about importing a diseased culture. The Haitian culture, diseased. The Libyan culture, diseased. The Venezuelan culture, diseased. The Syrian culture, diseased. You see what I'm getting at? They're all fucking diseased. So DeSantis, hearing that Biden wants to escort these ships up here, he went and he posted on Twitter X. He did this yesterday. I'm just now getting the news today that he has made his move to protect Florida. Here's his quote. For quite some time, the state of Florida has been dedicating significant resources. That means it's spending its money to combat illegal vessels coming to Florida from countries such as Haiti. Given the circumstances in Haiti, I have directed the Division of Emergency Management, the Florida State Guard. Notice he doesn't say National Guard, the Florida State Guard. Florida has its own militia, folks. Not just every able-bodied man and young man, but they also have their own dedicated state guard, state militia. The Florida State Guard and state law enforcement agencies to deploy over 250 additional officers and soldiers and over a dozen air and sea craft to the southern coast of Florida to protect our state. Notice he doesn't say to protect the United States. The United States is Washington, D.C. The United States of America is all 50 individual states. DeSantis is interested in protecting our state, he says. And continuing, no state has done more to supplement the under-resourced U.S. Coast Guard's interdiction efforts. We cannot have illegal aliens coming to Florida. Well, God bless Governor DeSantis. Fucking stop him. You know, we're gonna let me talk about Representative Matt Gaetz now. Representative Matt Gaetz of Florida, folks, has reiterated his call for the Biden administration, and this quote is out there. I'll get to his quote. He wants the Navy to intercede and stop this. But it sounds an awful lot like Biden wants to escort them in. But Matt Gaetz says, quote, I don't want Southeast Florida to become Haiti. I am calling on Joe Biden to do the right thing and declare an anticipated state of mass migration over water. That way we could get naval vessels in the Florida Straits to deter the thousands of incoming Haitians before they invade the United States. Now, I'm going to ask this simple question. What does Florida think? Does it think it's better than Texas or New Mexico or Arizona or California? Does Florida think that because it doesn't want illegals that it's just going to stop all of a sudden? That Joe Biden, because Matt Gaetz said something, he's going to go, oh, now I get it, Florida. He says, I'm calling on Joe Biden to do the right thing. When was the last fucking time you heard Joe Biden do the right thing? If the United States of America is to be invaded by additional thousands and thousands and millions of illegals, folks, all states should do what I'm going to recommend Florida does right now. Florida should deputize all Americans and encourage them to bring their guns to protect our shores. If somebody wants to step land on the soil, step onto our soil from the water, that's an invasion. They ought to be able to repel them with gunfire. At this point, now, it's not like they're going to show up and go, whoa, we didn't know. If you see a bunch of people on the fucking beach in front of you with rifles, why are you going to continue to go to that beach to get on their land? If I was on a boat and I was heading around Cuba and all of a sudden I had an emergency and I had to land in Cuba, I would expect to be arrested and have the shit beat out of me. I would expect to be held hostage and have to pay a hefty ransom to get out of that shithole of a communist country. If I were sailing down by Colombia or Venezuela, I would expect the same treatment. You don't just step on someone else's country and start making fucking demands. It's going to come down to them or us. Texas, Darcy T, Chin Music, Penelope, Vaughn, everyone on the southern border. What the fuck are you going to do? Are you going to keep allowing yourselves to be overrun, or are we going to fight back? Well, I tell you what, if they allowed Americans down in Florida to get over to the coast and repel these ships with gunfire, I might consider going down there and offering my services. They need to be stopped, folks. You let them in South Carolina. If they want to land boats in South Carolina, don't worry. They'll migrate back down south into Florida. They're going to invade Florida one way or another. One way or another. It's coming, folks. It's coming. The left-wing lunacy. We used to just think Democrats were crazy, and it was kind of amusing. Right, when the Clintons were in office, it was like, you guys are fucking nuts. You're idiotic. You're violent. You're stupid, but kind of amusing too. It's not funny anymore. These left-wing lunatics do not have an intelligent thought in their heads. All they have is agenda. Now, to give you an example of this, I want to point to our friends in Canada. Our friends up north. The Supreme Court of Canada, folks, has instructed the world of law in Canada. By the way, in Canada, the Supreme Court does not wear black robes. They wear red robes with white cuffs and collar. They look like a bunch of dreadful Santa Claus knockoffs. Now, the Supreme Court has ruled that when you discuss a female assault victim, this is in a ruling they made, that person should be referred to as person with a vagina and not as a woman. You're not allowed to use the term woman to describe victims, assailants, people. We used to make a distinction between the genders. We used to have the decency to refer to somebody as what they actually are. It is indecent to refer to a man as a woman. It is indecent to refer to a woman as a man. And I don't care if the man thinks he's a woman or dresses a woman, he's still a man, and he should be called a man. It's indecent of these fucking people to insist that we play the game. You don't get to tell me how to speak. This is going to become an issue that is every fucking bit as big as the Second Amendment, as the Fourth Amendment, as the Fifth Amendment. It's going to become a 10th Amendment concern. The federal government needs to put its tail between its legs, tuck its nutsack into its sphincter, and go back to Washington, D.C. and fucking stay there where it belongs. Washington, D.C. should not be upon the land. It should stay in its own country. 5 miles square, Washington, D.C. Folks, a woman is easy to define. A woman is easy to understand. Woman is a person with a vagina. Now, the Supreme Court of Canada, they can't seem to figure that out. Lawyers, folks, lawyers are destroying the language. They're trying to tell you what you can and cannot say. Read the book 1984. Save yourself hours and watch the movie 1984. The government wants to tell you what to say. And if you don't obey, they'll fucking arrest you. They'll beat the shit out of you. They'll take your property. They'll fine you. It is fucking wartime with these people. We're this far away, folks. We are less than a year or thereabouts before the violence commences. Before the violence commences. It is coming. Their idiocy, their lunacy is ungodly. It's funny how you can attack Trump. You can attack Trump. You bet you can. You can say anything you want about Trump. Democrats can say whatever they want about Republicans. They can attack us. But in New York City, at the fire department of New York City, some firefighters did not like seeing Letitia James and her heavily politicized anti-freedom agenda. So during one of her little speeches, the little bitch got booed. So what did they do? They threatened the firefighters with being punished and forced to go to re-education. It's unfucking believable. The idea, the concept of re-education in America, they can go fuck themselves. You hear that, FBI? Anyways, with respect to these firemen who were threatened, we're going to find out who you are. And when we do, we're going to punish you. And you're going to go to re-education. Well, a bunch of lawyers, finally, some New York lawyers have stepped up. And they're going to help these firefighters who are now being targeted by Letitia James, sack of shit attorney general. These fucking lawyers, they don't realize that they too are in the crosshairs. They think they're cute, that because they're lawyers, they're above the law. Sorry. They're going to be put under the fucking microscope as much as anyone else. All of these local Democrats, you're going to be under the microscope and you're going to be held accountable. Just wait. Okay, let me say, imagine if I was the father of 6 children right now. 6 children ages 2 to 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 5 kids. Okay, whatever. I've got a handful of kids. And if someone at a school were to hurt them because they're a trans, or a teacher assaulted them or hurt them or threatened them, or teachers and staff allowed left-wing tranny type over-the-top bullshit leftist bullying and violence was visited upon my kids, there's no fucking way that it would go unpunished. I asked my kids back in the teens, folks, when they had trouble at school, I said, do you want to handle the problem you're having, or do you want me to go down there and fucking fix it? And every time they said, no, Dad, we'll take care of our own business. And they did. It's a fucking mess there, folks. It's a fucking mess. Fucking Letitia James. What a bitch. All these fucking Democrats in these cities, these holier than thou bullshit ghetto trash that are getting elected to county, city council, mayor, district attorney. Look at them. They're all being accused of and found guilty of embezzlement, like fat ass Fanny. Letitia James is flirting with getting disbarred. They're scum, folks. They're fucking scum. Are you prepared for this to get worse? Because it's on its way. We're not there yet. I'm waiting. Fucking waiting. It's coming. All I got to do is sit back and watch. Woo! Okay. Well, I tell you what. It's me and Mr. Ooman. I think he's got his stuff together. This is going to be a hell of a show, folks. I know you guys have a lot to talk about. I've got some more stuff that I've been wanting to get to. But so much has happened on this Thursday. Let's do it, though. What do you want to talk about? Mr. Uman, Barking Wolf Spider checks on in. He says, hey, being nice is what has gotten us here, John. In full agreement. The things they told us we should do. This is a great fucking lesson. Back in the 1990s, they started this thing called political correctness. And the left wing, all of the bleeding heart, fucked up liberals told us we need to be tolerant of others and we need to not say things that are offensive. You know, politically correct. Like, don't call retards retards. Say they're mentally challenged. In other words, put a flowery, cute fucking name on a huge problem. And once they started that shit, folks, it has been a downhill fucking ride ever since. I have opposed and stood up to political correctness from its inception because I knew where it led. It leads to censorship because right away people are like, you know, John, you shouldn't talk like that. It's not very nice. It's like, well, when I talk nice, do I get what I want? When I speak kindly to fruitcakes and scumbag politicians, does it get me what I want? Does it fix the country? No. So why should I? Why should I do what those fuckers want when they do absolutely nothing I want? Nothing. They want to silence me, yet they want to shout louder. They want to take my guns while they fully arm and militarize the police. Not to go after the enemies, not to stop illegals, but to silence and shut me up and scare me and take my guns. Fuck them. Being nice never did a bit of fucking good. I remember growing up with politics, listening to Republicans, be nice. Our friends across the aisle over there, we just think they're wrong. Well, the Democrats across the aisle, they didn't treat anyone like their friends. They just shit all over them, fucked us, screwed us over, spent more money than they took in, guaranteeing that you pay more taxes and that we pay taxes forever. Unbelievable, folks. Unfucking believable. Thank you, Barking Wolf Spider. Yeah. How can you don't have to agree with me, but how are you going to argue? How has being nice stopped Democrats from continuously pushing their progressive, leftist, sexualized, perverted, pedophile, anti-American agenda on us? How? How's it? It hasn't. It can't stop them. Being nice will not stop the enemy. Being nice will not convince them that we're good people. You need to yell in their faces. You need to tell them what you think of them. You need to put them down. All right. Mr. Uman, where should we go next? We got name redacted. He says, we're being flanked, undetected by the fly-ins. Now, what is name redacted talking about? He's talking about Joe Biden, the Biden administration, the Department of Homeland Security, Washington, D.C. Have you caught on to a theme here? All of this direction is coming from Washington fucking D.C. And I'm pissed. If California wanted to allow every illegal in to their state, no other state could stop them independently. But the other states could go to the federal government in Washington and say, hey, the federal government has a duty to protect the borders and regulate, that is, regularize immigration. Not just open the border, but set up a system of standards and ordinances or rules that governs how people are allowed to enter the nation. That's how it's supposed to be. No state alone is going to solve the problem, folks. And Washington, D.C. is the one who is promoting in every state, especially Democrat states, these illegals. But the fly-ins that Name Redacted is talking about. The United States government, Washington, D.C. I think everyone has probably caught on now and noticed that I speak of Washington, D.C. not as part of the United States of America, but is rather a separate and distinct district, the District of Columbia, operating under its own rules and ignoring the Constitution. Just ask the January 6 protesters. Ignoring human rights, American rights, civil rights, ignoring the Declaration of Independence, ignoring the Constitution. Fuck you, Washington, D.C. More people need to say that, folks. They need to say it, and they need to fucking mean it. D.C. is flying illegal aliens into this country without any proper paperwork, just flying them in to bypass the bottleneck, the difficulty at the border. That's right, at the border, they can't get them across the border fast enough. If you've ever been to a theme park, SeaWorld, Six Flags, the zoo, whatever you got, people are just crammed at the central gate, and then they go through the gate and then they spread out. But that gate is a bottleneck where everyone is stuck trying to get through those little turnstiles. So the government, the United States government, said that, well, we're just trying to alleviate that bottleneck by, well, just flying them in on hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of airlines. How amazing is that? Americans are being screwed with inflation, declining wages, declining hours, higher unemployment. We're being hit with that while the government spends more and more money chartering American flights, chartering airline companies to go down, pick up illegals, and dump them in this fucking country. Undetected? It's detected now, name redacted. It's detected now. Okay, Mr. Uman. Where do we want to roll on next? Folks, if you've got something to say, get it down below. I've got a lot more to cover. Uman has stuff he wants to talk about, but we want to get your questions onto the screen. We've got 1 hour to get it done in, and I want to say thank you to everybody who has joined the preparedmind.club and everybody who is part of subscribestar.com. 2 ways to come on the show Monday through Friday and participate live at no additional charge. That $2 cover charge monthly gets you in the door every day live. So Uman says, our illustrious border czar, Camel Toes. That's right. The Department of Homeland Security has their chief, Mayorkas. Sack of shit, Alejandro Mayorkas. Little bald wannabe Jeff Bezos Mayorkas. His boss is the vice president. Vice President Callous Knees Camel Toes Harris. Uman says, our illustrious border czar Camel Toes is executing her responsibilities by visiting a planned unparenthood clinic in Minnesota. He says, Uman does, I've noticed they're trying to stir up the abortion topic again. Hope the Republicans don't take the bait and make it a campaign issue to energize the leftists. I'm gonna go the other way, Mr. Uman. I'm gonna say I want abortion. Even though it's now a state issue, I want it to rile up these left-wing idiots. I don't think they're going to show up to vote. I just want the world to see how fucking stupid and crazy and loud and obnoxious and worthless they are. I want them to get out in the streets and openly praise Satan, because that's what they do, folks. At every rally I have managed to watch video from, one of them, at least one, starts screaming, "Hail Satan." That is not good. That doesn't make the Democrats look like an enjoyable political party. It doesn't make them sound intelligent or good or decent or honest in any fucking way at all. I mean, this whole my body, my rights, well, you can't take legally, you're not supposed to take drugs, heroin, opiates, fentanyl, propofol. You're not supposed to get your hands on drugs and just take whatever you want. It's illegal, and it doesn't matter that it's your body. It doesn't matter. To energize the leftists, man, I get what you're saying. We don't want them to get all excited and go, we're gonna vote for Biden, and we're gonna win, and we'll get abortion back. Abortion's off the fucking table. It's no longer a political question at the federal level. I want them to talk about it. Make that your fucking issue. Who cares? I do understand the sentiment, though, that we don't want Democrats out there voting. We want them demoralized. I want all Democrats to be suicidal. I don't want anyone to commit harmful acts of self-destruction. No, no, no. I just want them to feel suicidal. I want them to go to their physicians, their doctors. And I want all these suicidal Democrats to get lots of prescriptions for antidepressants. I want them absolutely reliant upon antidepressants. I want the Democrats taking so many antidepressants that they can never stop again. I want them to lobotomize themselves with antidepressants. You get what I'm saying? You see where I'm coming from? I want them to take so much Xanax that they can't get excited about anything. I want them to just go away. But yeah, energizing them, I get it. I don't want them energized for the purpose of voting, to give the appearance that they've actually won because of their energy levels and their appearance on the streets, holding protest signs. No, I want them in their homes crying, taking antidepressants. And, hey, what's the difference between that and cutting your dick off and taking a bunch of female hormones and thinking you've just changed genders? I want all of these people out of the gene pool. Done. No more. Men, women, dogs, cats, fire hydrants, whatever these people think they are, I want them out of the gene pool. They are dangerous to themselves, they're dangerous to others, and they're dangerous to a free republic. That's for fucking sure. And speaking of these fruitcakes, there's one that was named Dagny Nex Benedict. Dagny. That's what their parents named this girl. This girl who decided she was non-binary, meaning not a boy, not a girl. Well, then what the fuck are you? Those are your options. You got XX, XY chromosomes. That's it. There's no other fucking option. And if you're XX, you're a woman. No other option. In fact, I listened to a speech. Some women were explaining to some idiot trannies. That's right. Women have had it with these fucking idiots, a lot of them. And we're giving it to the trans. They're like, what you're doing. And I think this was actually Candace Owens who said, no matter how much makeup you wear, no matter what you do to your body with surgery, no matter how you learn to act like someone of the opposite sex, all you're doing is lying to everyone else. It's a fucking lie to claim to be something that you're not. And Candace Owens, in case you're not aware, is a black woman. She has a vagina. She's a black woman with a vagina. Born that way. So Candace Owens says, look, if you're a white woman and you artificially tan yourself, darken your skin artificially, wear wigs so it looks like you have an afro, put on makeup the way black women like to wear makeup, however the fuck that is, talk like you're from the ghetto, no matter what you do, you're still not black, right? You're still not black. Doesn't matter how dark your skin is, you're not black. Doesn't matter if you have an afro or not, you're not fucking black. Afro, weave, cornrows, beads. It don't fucking matter. You're not black. Dress like a black person, you're not black. Make up like a black person, you're not black. Talk like you're from the ghetto, you're not black. So what makes you dumb trannies, think that if you dress like the opposite sex, all of a sudden you really are and everyone has to accept it? Anyways, Dagny Nex Benedict, a non-binary, died. Had a bathroom fight at school. Oh, by the way, the fight was started by Dagny in the bathroom. Dagny and its group of friends were being stupid. So another group of girls, I'm imagining these are girls with vaginas, started laughing at them. So Dagny threw water on them and started a fucking fight. Anyways, Dagny, who was on a shit pile of drugs. That's right, drugs. Antidepressant drugs. Mind control drugs. Gender drugs. Whatever the fuck she was on a lot of them. She committed suicide. That's right, Dagny Nex Benedict, the non-binary wannabe weirdo. Oh, she qualified. Died of suicide. But the media wanted everyone to believe that she was beaten to death in this bathroom fight. Not true. Not true. She got her ass kicked, I think, but not true. Anyways, Joe Biden. Joe Biden. Guess what he did? Joe Biden put out his sad face for Dagny Nex Benedict, but refuses to have any sympathy for Laken Riley. You see, it's not about crime. It's not about sympathy. It's not about mercy. It's not about decency. It's about a political agenda. They want to destroy America. They started, folks, back in the 1960s. Very slowly, they removed prayer from schools. Prayer from schools. Then they introduced sex, drugs, and rock and roll. The hippie generation, they wanted a promiscuous, idiotic, stupid population, and they got it. And America has been going downhill since then on the moral side. Now, let me tell you what. A good fuck is a good thing. Being a degenerate, trash heap, cum depot as a woman or as a man, basically your garden variety screwball who will put his dick in anything. There's nothing good about that. There's nothing but dangerous. A good fuck, on the other hand, no problem there. But what they want is they want everyone fucking everyone and destroying America. They fucked it up so bad. Now they want people to not even identify properly their gender. They just want them to destroy themselves. That's where we're at. All right. Mr. Ooman, where do we want to roll next? We got about 10 minutes left in the show. And Village Idiot steps in. And he asks a very interesting question. Do the Geneva Convention rules apply to civilians? Only where and insomuch as civilians are engaged or in the same area as military personnel. But largely no. The Geneva Convention rules are rules of war. So in order for a country to be at war, it needs to have an enemy. The enemy needs to have a military. That military needs to wear uniforms. Those are the rules of war. Under such rules, yes, individual members of the military are bound by these rules. Now, a government can add its own layer of rules on top of that, such as rules of engagement. Well, if someone shoots at you, you should be able to shoot back. A government can say, no, you're not allowed to shoot back unless your officer, your OIC or your commanding officer says engage. They could make it very confusing and difficult, the way they did in the Gulf War, where if you see somebody threatening you and they have a weapon, you're not allowed to shoot them until they shoot at you. You know, weird, stupid shit like that. But when it comes to civilians, in a normal war where you have two sides and they're both armies and they have uniforms, they're not allowed to go in and kill civilians. Right now, to be a war criminal, you've got to do something flagrant and awful. Right? Kind of like the Azov Battalion, ethnically cleansing, that is, trying to commit genocide against Russians who are living in Ukraine. That to me sounds like a violation of the war rules. Now, let's continue with this. Do the rules apply to civilians? Let us say that in the United States of America, we had a spat of violence, Mad Max, if you will, erupt in the country. Would Americans be held to the Geneva Convention rules as it applies to militaries engaging militaries? The answer is no. No, they're not, because they are not operating. They're operating as individuals, not as an organized militia or army. Now, of course, if one side is organized and they're wearing uniforms, well, that's a different story. Then they are a military with respect to the Geneva Convention. Now, what I would like to do is invite everyone from Geneva to every war zone on the planet so you can see it for yourself. Otherwise, you can just fuck off, folks. France, England, Germany, Poland, Turkey, Syria, they're all a bunch of sack of shit countries that lie. They always accuse someone else, especially terrorists. They always accuse someone else of genocide and mass murder and violating, human rights. They accuse other people of doing it while they themselves do it. You're allowed to, folks, irrespective or irregardless or who gives a shit about the Geneva Convention. You're allowed to defend yourself and defend others and defend your country. There's a mess. There's an absolute mess. And it's coming. It truly is. No, the Geneva Convention rules don't apply to civilians. That is, civilians don't have to follow them. They are for militaries and nations to follow. Thank you, Village Idiot. Check with your local law enforcement and attorneys and see what the fuck they have to say. All right. Stepping up, stepping on. Oh, my goodness. We got name redacted in the house. He says, Big Orange, that would be Trump. Big Orange should be making a campaign promise to use the RICO Act to go after the transportation companies making the invasion possible, including outside the United States. I don't care what act they use. You're violating our national boundaries, and you're doing it intentionally. And anybody who supplies money to these companies or arranges and charters these companies, whether it's trains, buses, boats, or planes, whoever they are, they need to be prosecuted. If they are foreign corporations, they should be sanctioned. If they are domestic corporations, they should be fined. If it's an individual in the corporation doing it, they too should be fined and also tried for treason, for violating the nation's boundaries and rules regarding borders. I'm not a big fan, folks, of all of these assholes. I don't like them at all. I think they should. I would like to see them summarily executed, because people in America are dying. People are being kidnapped, assaulted, They're being robbed. They're being raped. The country itself is being financially looted by these foreigners that are here illegally who have invaded our country. And the people in Washington and the state capitals are also looting us. Unbelievable. Okay, let us continue. We've got 4 minutes left in the show. Mr. Uman, we got Uman. And he says, so little Chucky is calling for an end to the Netanyahu-led government. I'm sure he'll step down immediately. Little Chucky is up Chuck Schumer, if I'm correct. Everyone hates up Chuck Schumer. He is a schmaltzy dickhead. I can't stand him. He's an anti-American fuckstick. He is a loser. He's an asshole. He is a New Yorker. Nobody outside of New York likes New Yorkers like up Chuck Schumer. Fuck him. Do I sound like I've had enough of these people? The answer is yes. Am I calling for violence? No. Am I calling for standing up for your rights? Expressing your opinion? Yes. Stop being afraid of these people. Stop it. They want to give your kids homosexual, anal sex, pornography, and pedophilia. Why should you be nice to them? Even your kind little Democrat neighbor is supporting that. Even though they're not going to go stand on their lawn and distribute this pedophilia, they're going to support it by voting for it. Fuck them. That's how little they think of you, America, our decency, our country's future. They'll keep voting for jackasses like Joe Biden. Fuck them. Quit being nice to them. Being nice, as we've demonstrated, gets nobody anywhere. Now, as far as Netanyahu stepping down because Chuck Schumer wants him to, that's brilliant, man. Not a chance. Benjamin Netanyahu is not stepping down at all. He is engaged in a war against terrorism, and the terrorism is engaged in a war against the nation of Israel. That's correct. The nation of Israel, folks, is populated by a complex, shall we say, hierarchy of Jewish people who are secular and or religiously Jewish. I think this is going to be a fight to the death, folks. I think it's going to be a fight to the death. I think they're going all out in Israel. I think Israel feels that terrorism has proven itself to be a perpetual existential threat, and that they're going to, and it wouldn't surprise me, folks, based on the Talmud and some other writings, that Israel wouldn't have helped allow this to happen, October 7th, in order to create, folks, Hegelian dialect, to create the situation whereby they had the excuse and the authority to attack Hamas, Hezbollah, Palestine, and other enemies of the state of Israel. I'm not surprised at all. And King Bibi, is not going anywhere. The man has been in politics since the early 90s, and maybe before that. It came to my attention in the early 90s. That is over 35 fucking years ago. The man is a staple in Israeli politics. He's like the Bushes. He's like the Rockefellers. He's not going anywhere. So buckle up, hang on, lock and load, get your popcorn and a drink. It's going to get messy. Thank you, Mr. Uman. That was a good topic right there, man. Fuck. It's on. It's over. It's done. I don't think that Israel will stop fighting until someone's nuked. And speaking of nuke, remember when Budweiser was nuked by the trans testicle Dylan Mulvaney? Well, the little fruitcake is back, folks. That's right. Trans, tuck my weenie between my legs, pretend like I'm a girl, act like an obnoxious, hyperactive, spasmodic punk. Dylan Mulvaney has now a song. That's right. That's right. A testicularly challenged young man pretending to be a girl is now singing Is he going to be the next Taylor Swift? Oh, that's just fucking great. I think he and Taylor should do a duet. Anyways, his song is called Days of Girlhood. Days of Girlhood. This is outrageously stupid. That's right, folks. Fruitcake, fruit salad tossing, Wavo liquor, Dylan Mulvaney. He has a video called, it's a music video called Days of Girlhood. And he, a biological male, gives through song and music advice on how to be a girl. I thought we couldn't select gender. I thought woman and man was bad. Well, the lyrics within the song, folks, glamorize anonymous sex. Who is having sex with Dylan Mulvaney other than people in the Biden clan and Biden administration? They also glamorize and promote binge drinking, overspending of credit cards, just blow money, popping pills, taking drugs, and also this is the phrase used by Gateway Pundit: painting women as vacuous. Vacuous, VACUOUS. I love the word vacuous. I find it to be highly entertaining. And I'll tell you what, I know I'm kind of an asshole, but I've been chiding women for a long time. Why are you continuing to let other people tell you how to be a woman and to say men are stupid and women need to be like them? Men, that is. You know, it's and here we are. Vacuous definition: having or showing a lack of thought or intelligence. Mindless. That's correct. Dylan Mulvaney, while dressed like a woman and promoting his own behavior, is a mindless, unintelligent, vacuous moron out there engaging in frivolous butt piracy and sphincter darts. I mean, get this. Where's the feminist outrage at this guy? Mulvaney dresses like he's a 1950s housewife. He's setting a poor example for the thick-waisted, stocky, trashy, cock-hating feminists. Why aren't they mad at him? Well, a lot of real women are mad at him. But you know what I say? The same thing. More abortion? Get the protesters out there and ask for it. Show us how stupid you are. More trannies? More Mulvaney. Show us how stupid you are. Cut off your nutsacks. Take yourself out of the gene pool. And every time he shows up, Mulvaney nuked Budweiser, folks. Look at the investment charts for Budweiser. You can see how it goes along, and then Mulvaney, and then fucking dies straight down. Bad press, folks, has a consequence in this country. It's not like a freak show at the Barnum and Bailey Circus, where P.T. Barnum said, "Wow, all all publicity is good publicity, or any publicity is good publicity." No, it's not. No, that's been proven to be incorrect. 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 And just remember that the military, at least West Point, has said no more duty, honor, country. The government has given up on us, folks. They've created their own idea of what America should be, and they've declared you and me to be the enemy. So chance favors the prepared mind, right? Aren't you glad you're a prepper? Get loud, get in their faces, don't give up, and quit being nice. Semper Fi. God bless.